The WNBA's panic alarms are blaring, and it's not because of a missed layup. Industry experts are warning that 2026 could mark Caitlin Clark's final season in the league. Yes, you read that right. And no, the anxiety isn't coming from the players' side. Before we dive in, how does the WNBA survive without its biggest attraction? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
I feel like we're quickly headed towards a scenario where there's going to be a lockout in the WNBA. And this is something I've talked about a few times because I think the players, they just have a much higher perception around their dollar value worth than the league is actually worth. And some of this stuff will work itself out, right? Like if you look at the WNBA, attendance, viewership, like merchandise sale, everything's up and to the right. Sponsorships, they're making a lot more money, TV rights, everything. But most people don't understand the dynamic between the NBA owning a large chunk of the business, the owners owning a large chunk of the revenue stream, and the players are out there every day. I mean, you just look at what was happening in that 60 Minutes interview. Aaliyah Boston said that she wants commas in her paycheck. $1 million+ essentially, right? And that's not happening anytime soon in the WNBA. Like, it's just not going to happen. A'ja Wilson makes $200,000 a year. And we're going to get to a point where that's going to set in as reality. And I think the players are going to have a really hard time dealing with that because they're going on the road and they're seeing these sold out arenas. But the economics of the league just don't give that opportunity to them.
The reality, the WNBA is acting like it has all the time in the world, dragging its feet in CBA negotiations as if the league still holds every card. But people who actually understand the business are saying the same thing. The clock is running out, and Caitlin Clark's time in the WNBA could end after 2026, and this isn't some social media rumor. These warnings are coming from seasoned insiders, the ones who study the numbers, the contracts, and the media deals. And they're saying that if things keep heading in this direction, Clark won't retire or fade away. She'll take her talent somewhere else. Why? Because the league's choices are making it harder and less appealing for her to stay.
As you guys know, negotiations have essentially stalled for a new collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA. For the first time ever, WNBA players think they have leverage. Keyword, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term. The problem is, if this short-term leverage is used and the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, it could have devastating long-term impacts on pretend basketball.
Why is 2026 such a big deal? Because that's when the current WNBA collective bargaining agreement runs out. And right now, the way things are unfolding, it's entirely possible that the players' demands and the league's position won't meet in the middle. Usually, this would just be one of those dull, behind-the-scenes sports business stories. But here's the twist. Caitlin Clark isn't just another name on the roster. She is the name. The ratings bump, the sellout crowds, the merchandise boom, all of it is riding on the momentum of her sophomore season and the projection of what she could bring in the future. The WNBA is balancing on a wave she's generating, and instead of locking down that wave for years to come, the league is facing intense short-term pressure, both from its own players and from a growing outside challenger, Unrivaled, which is dangling huge paychecks in front of the same stars the WNBA needs to remain relevant. Here's where the tension started. The players see the surge in TV audiences. They see arenas packed when the Fever are in town. They see Clark's jerseys selling out and the media covering the league more than it has in decades. And their conclusion? It's time to cash in, not just modest raises, but major jumps. We're talking about taking the average salary from roughly $150,000 to the $1 million range.
WNBA players right now, they are looking at details like ratings, attendance, social media impressions, increased mainstream interest. They are using that as leverage in an attempt to justify a massive increase in their minimum wage salaries. Most people get a raise, they're asking for 10%, maybe 20%. WNBA players, they are demanding to go from $150,000 a year.
In theory, it sounds simple. Pay the players, they've earned it. But that's focusing on the small picture. Step back and you see a bigger problem. The WNBA's financial structure isn't strong enough to sustain that kind of leap just yet. You can't hand out luxury-level paychecks when the foundation itself is still being built. Look at the NHL for context. That league had decades of history, loyal fan bases, and major TV contracts. Yet, when labor disputes canceled their 2004-05 season, the fallout was massive. Their TV exposure dropped, sponsors backed away, and although they eventually recovered, they never reached the same cultural height. And that was the NHL. Now, imagine the WNBA, which doesn't have the same history or safety net, losing an entire 2026 season. That's not just a speed bump, that's a full-on sinkhole. This is where Unrivaled comes into play. On paper, it's another women's basketball league, co-created by notable WNBA players. In practice, it's also a bargaining chip. Many top athletes are earning more in its short 2-month season than in an entire WNBA year. Last year, they reportedly dangled over $1 million in front of Caitlin Clark to join. Think that number's going down by 2026? Not a chance. And that's why so many insiders keep sounding the alarm. 2026 might be Clark's final year in the WNBA. If the CBA negotiations implode and the season gets scrapped, players like her have multiple well-paying alternatives. The WNBA, however, doesn't. If she walks, so does the wave of viewership spikes, merchandise sales, and casual fan engagement that's been growing since her rookie debut. Here's the core issue. The WNBA is approaching this like it has the leverage of the NBA or NFL. But those leagues can survive a lockout because their brand power is massive and their rosters are packed with cultural icons. The WNBA? Right now, it has Caitlin Clark, plus a handful of other players who might capture attention during the Olympics. That's not exactly a star-studded safety net.
According to players in the WNBA, we are owed this money. Pay us what we're owed. Pay us what we're owed. Yippee! The only thing WNBA players are thinking about is getting paid now. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about the long-term viability of the league. They're not thinking about what happens if this sudden increase in growth is not sustainable.
Two players believe Unrivaled's early numbers prove they have real leverage, but that success comes with an asterisk. Yes, they pulled in $27 million in revenue during their debut season, but profit? None. Their business model depends heavily on big checks from media partners like TNT. If those viewership numbers ever dip, those checks could vanish, and with them, the safety net the players think they have. This is where Caitlin Clark's presence becomes critical for the WNBA's survival. She's not just a face of the league, she's the reason casual sports fans even know when a WNBA game is happening. The excitement of her rookie year didn't fade in year 2. It got bigger. Clark has shown she can carry not only her team, but the spotlight for the entire league. And the truth is, if she leaves, there's no ready-made replacement. The proof: attendance drops sharply at games she's not in, and TV ratings slump when the Fever aren't on the broadcast schedule. That's not the picture of a league thriving across the board. It's the picture of one player holding up the tent.
Already brought this up, so I'm just gonna double down on it. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is gonna sign more than 1 year. Any free agent this year will not sign more than 1 year because of the CBA.
Yeah.
When 2026 comes around, the entire league will be free agents except for people on their rookie deals. I don't even know, like, how does that even work? I don't, to the GMs, like,
GMs, assemble.
good luck.
Yeah.
It's gonna
I
be
know.
tough.
So when industry insiders warn that 2026 might be Clark's last year in the WNBA, they're not imagining her stepping away from the game at 24. They're pointing out a business risk, that she could take her talents to a place where the paychecks are bigger, the schedule lighter, and the off-court politics smaller. Here's why the league office should be worried, even if they won't admit it. The WNBA's recent growth is fragile. Sponsors are signing on because Clark's involved. Networks are paying up because her games pull in bigger audiences. Merchandise sales are up because her name is on the back of the jersey. Remove her, and growth doesn't just stall, it goes backwards. The logical move? Get her locked into a favorable deal before the CBA battle even starts, something lucrative enough to keep her without blowing up the salary structure. But ego and bad calculations are steering the ship. The league doesn't want to make it look like one player can earn far more than the rest, even if that one player is the reason everyone's pockets are fuller. On the flip side, the players see Unrivaled not as a risky newcomer, but as proof they can earn far more outside the WNBA. Maybe they can for a while. But if Unrivaled collapses and the WNBA's image is already damaged by a canceled season, that's not leverage anymore. That's a double loss with nowhere to land. The people predicting a 2026 exit for Clark aren't rooting against the league. They're just being realistic. They see a league gambling its future in a CBA showdown while its biggest draw has obvious, high-paying alternatives. And if you think Clark isn't aware of the tug-of-war going on, think again. Athletes at her level want more than a salary. They want security, growth, and a league that recognizes they're the engine keeping the business running. So if 2026 arrives, the CBA talks fall apart, and the season is scrapped, the odds are very real that Clark takes the unrivaled offer or another big opportunity elsewhere. And if that happens, the WNBA wouldn't just lose a star, it would lose the main reason casual viewers bother to tune in. And for anyone who believes another star will come along, here's the cold truth. Talents like Clark don't pop up every year. Her jump from college to the pros brought in fans who had never watched before. She's not replaceable.